All right. What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris Baker, and I'm a real estate investor. I have here with me Victor Collins, who's also a real estate investor. And what we're doing right now is we're starting a podcast. So this is the first episode, and it's the pilot. So we're going to do a five-part series on, bringing people information on real estate. Uh, if you're a newbie, if you, everybody's pretty much, well, people that I've talked to are interested in investing in real estate, but sometimes they just don't know how to get started. So this is a platform to help out with this, and we're pretty much going to get into our first subject. So uh, the topic of discussion today is how did we get into real estate, and we're going to pretty much share our perspectives over uh, when we first met. Um, and I'll let Vic get into some of the details, but at a high level, we're both engineers. We both went to North Carolina A&T State University, and we graduated around the same time. And we just so happened to talk recently, and we're both investing in real estate. So we just decided to come together to put together a platform to just put information out there to help people invest in real estate. So um, right now, I would say we have our respective investing strategies. Me personally, I buy and hold long term, and I'm currently developing my own property management company. I'll let Vic get into what he does, but pretty much we are two, I would say, ex-engineers. We're both currently engineers, but um, I would say we're primarily real estate investors. So I'll hand it over to Vic to talk about his background a little bit.
Yeah, so Chris and I met in college, undergrad, um, and I think you know a lot of where we would like to take this podcast is helping people understand that to dispose of the many like myths that you may have about investing. You probably have more resources than you think you have to build some wealth. That was my primary reason for getting into real estate, and we'll get into that at some point. But I felt like, coming out of school and getting a job that, I need some passive income, and I didn't want to be one of those people that wanted to wait till I was 60 or 70 to start enjoying life because I didn't think that was necessary. So the path I found was that, I think I had an epiphany at one moment, and when I was renting, I'm like, renting is a lot more expensive than buying a place. So if I could just buy a place, then I could I could save some money and I can build some equity. So
Yeah.
I figured that out pretty quick and started asking questions around my job with people who are doing the same thing, who are making a lot of money. So that was my start, and ever since I've kind of been doing it on the side while working a job to support to develop the funds to be able to buy and hold. Like Chris, I do a lot of buy and hold. My experience has been in single family homes with, that's going to be changing soon, but I think that's a good way to get started. But and most of my property I own now is in Ohio. That's where I used to work. And that's where I got started in the corporate. So that's where I own property now.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it's going back to where this all started, the genesis. I met Vic when I came to A&T in 2003. And we were both industrial engineers, and um, over time, you start seeing the same faces in some of the classes that you take. So naturally, we just got together, started working together. And I saw he made good grades, and he was about getting the work done, and so was I. So we started being in the same study groups. Um, I studied. It was me and a whole number of other folks, but our study group was called IE Unit, which was kind of corny, but that's what it was. Shout out to IE Unit. But other than that,
Yeah.
so work. We would hang out. I was a barber, not officially, but I cut a number of heads. I used to cut a big hair back in the day, man. But pretty much over time, some of the things that happened. I joined Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in 2007. Vic joined Kappa Alpha Psi in 2005, right?
Yeah, spring 2005.
In 2005. And then after that, man, we just graduated and pretty much went our separate ways. So getting into the next segment, I graduated in 2009, and when I graduated, I went straight into grad school. Um, I wasn't ready for a corporate world. Actually, I applied for jobs, and I didn't like the jobs that accepted me. I think I got a job offer from GM as like a third shift supervisor, engineer, or something. But I know I didn't want that, so I was like, I'm going to grad school. So um, I was in grad school as a graduate assistant. I did a number of things. So I had the stipend from the graduate assistant. I was a lab attendant. I was tutoring. I was also barbering. So I was just and partying. So I did not have my mind right, but I had some income coming in. And then in 2009, I got my job offer with my current job in Washington, D.C. as an industrial engineer. And that was pretty much it from like 2010 to like 2000, what? No, from 2007 to 2010, excuse me. I wasn't really doing them with partying, but what about during that time frame, Vic?
2007, I had we graduated school. I actually did have some pretty good offers coming out of school, and I just for whatever reason I made the mistake to take a job I thought was cool instead of the one I thought was going to be best for my career. So I ended up moving to Texas for a little bit in Dallas, working with JP Morgan. They ended up moving me to Ohio shortly after that. That's how I ended up in Columbus and was there for about 4.5 years. And so really, had a chance to build some roots and meet some really awesome people, which is what I will say about life. You to me, a lot of it is about the people you come across. So I'm very thankful for that experience because that's where I met my real estate mentor in Columbus.
Yeah.
So from 2007 to 2010, I primarily worked as a business analyst for the bank, and at the same time, I expressed an interest on, getting involved in real estate, just learning about it. Met a senior vice president at the bank who had already been doing this work, and we connected. She really kind of took me under her wing and showed me a lot of what how to get started, should I say. So she pushed me a little bit. Needless to say, by beginning of February 2010, I made my first home purchase, and that was a very unique experience. But I still own that home today, and I'm renting that out right now. So that was that time frame for me, was working and buying my first property.
Yeah. And that's important, man. One thing you mentioned was like mentors, man. Mentors are key, and pretty much anything you do, you just utilizing that experience and getting it firsthand. That's like key and monumental to success. But so next, from about 2010 to 2015. So in 2010, I got my job and I moved to DC. I didn't buy a house when I first moved up here. I moved in with my cousin. She's a single mom, and she had 3 teenage kids, and I rented a room from her. And she charged me like dirt cheap rent. The rent was like $400. In DC, that is like cheap. So I was able to save a lot of money. I lived with her for like 3 years, and I didn't just cut out on her. She was giving me such a good deal. I felt obligated to like be around and help her with the kids. So for 3 years, I really didn't do much. I didn't party or anything, and I just saved my bread for 3 years. Like I saved like every other paycheck for 3 years, right? So when I was saving all that bread, I got out of debt. I paid off my car. I paid off my student loans, and I also had like a program with my job They put up half the bread for my student loans. I had like $24,000 in debt, so I put up half. They put up half. What's up?
Let me tell you, like you hit on an important point for people who are going to be watching this when you talk about making sacrifices to save money for your first opportunities.
Right.
I'm probably known for being the cheapest person you may ever know in life.
Okay.
But I say this to piggyback off of your point is instead of buying unnecessary things, I bought the very basic things,
right,
and things that I did enjoy. Things that I did, every now and then I may treat myself to something. But
right.
Needless to say, like I say, my college car, bro, I stopped driving that in 2013. So it's like, people had cool cars. I'm like, I'm buying houses. Yeah. So that's what I did. I had the money to do it because I saved my money on everything. So, and that's part of how you get started. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's like a common theme among successful people in general. Like there's like a grind period. So this was pretty much my grind period. So when I started I was out of debt, and I was still saving that money because I made like saving money a lifestyle. So when I had the money, I knew I wanted to invest. And this is when I met my mentor. So my mentor is in Greenville, North Carolina, my hometown. So I met with him, and he was just doing a whole bunch of things that I thought were like unattainable at the time. But now like I realized like things are achievable once you put your mind to it. So, in 2012, I bought my first rental property. I bought my first rental property before I bought my first house. So I bought my first rental property in 2012. and 2013, I had enough bread saved up to buy a house in DC. And just during that whole time frame, I was just focused on just educating myself because I knew, in order to invest in anything, you have to be educated. You have to know the risks you're taking. You have to know the ins and outs. So I was on YouTube, I was reading books, I was reading articles, I was talking to folks, and just really grinding it out during that time frame. I was really getting my mind right.
So we're talking about the 2010 to 2015 period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2010 to 2015. Let's see. I changed jobs. I went to a higher paying job, almost about 30,000 more. And so after I got a taste of what I could do in real estate, I figured, well, if I can earn a little bit more money, I can do it faster.
Right.
So I took another job, not to mention I was completely miserable in my first job. And so I say that to say, because a lot of this build up to where I am now has to do with really aligning to what you're passionate about. And for me, this just happens to be real estate. So, I was miserable in one job. I was fortunate enough to, be able to find another job in the same city, work that job. It was a wonderful job, wonderful people. But then I realized that even that wasn't fulfilling. Yeah. And so I ended up leaving Columbus, the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. And at that point, I moved back in with my parents. I moved back home. I wasn't happy in Ohio at all, as I felt like I shouldn't have been there. But so I did that. Went to grad school at Central, studied public administration, which was a great experience. And while I was at home, I was able to save up some more money because I knew I wanted to buy more property.
Right.
So I did that. Save my money. And I finished school. After I finished school, I started taking real estate classes in North Carolina. Then I got called for a job in Atlanta. So I took the job in Atlanta, put the real estate license on hold, moved here in actually 2015. And so that's where I've been here ever since.
Okay. Yeah, and just going off what you said about, some people, they want to get started, they want to invest, and they are their own worst critic, or they get in their own way because they're not willing to make sacrifices. Like you said, you move back in with your parents. That's a huge sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? And like that's kind of comparable to me moving in with my cousin. It's like you gotta do what you gotta do to save money and get yourself in a better position. And I think that's like a common theme if you want to, just pursue anything, is like look at your current situation and make adjustments accordingly. And I got friends who that I talk to who they're serious, and some haven't made that adjustment, and some have, and you can see that big distinguishment between the two. Mm-hmm. But for me, so from 2015 to now, so this is what I'm currently doing. In 2015, that's when I officially started my company, my LLC. And then soon after that, I bought my second rental property. And then after that, I bought a number of single family homes. And right now, like I'm continuing to educate myself. Like soon after I started my company, I enrolled at George Washington University to get my MBA in finance. And I went in with the purpose of building my company, which is important. I didn't just enroll and not know what I wanted to do. I enrolled, I took classes that would help me build my company, like accounting, finance, financial decision making, real estate valuation, real estate cases. And in those classes, I kind of like was an asshole because I dominated the conversation that helped my business. So if I was an accountant and we were talking about, tax structures and real estate savings through taxes, I raise my hand, stop the class, and relate everything back to my business, almost to the point where teachers pulling me aside is like, hey, you got something going on? What's going on? And I tell them, So I just went in with a purpose to educate myself. And right now I'm just like employing different real estate strategies. Recently, I did the BRRRR strategy where, you refinance one of your current properties, pull out the cash, and that funds your next investment. I did that recently to buy my first multifamily apartment building. And right now, man, I'm just working on building my network, reaching out to folks. Like when me and Vic connected, it was perfect timing. Reaching out to just a number of people, bankers, realtors, other mentors, friends who want to start investing, and just educate folks on, getting into real estate, man. And that's pretty much it till right now.
Yeah, I think for me, so I actually I moved to Atlanta the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, and worked a job here, and it was a great job. Still doing IE work. It was making even more money, so I figured the same thing before. I'll just stack the money and I'll buy another property. So ended up working that job for a little over a year and a half. Had enough capital to put 20% down on another property. So I did that. And then that very same year, right after I did that, ran into some issues with my job and, and leadership, and that no longer worked out. So the end of that year, the end of 2016, the end of 2016, I had to sit down and think about what is it I really wanted to do. I didn't want to give people control over my life and my money. And so I figured, I needed to get into entrepreneurship full time, and I knew that was going to have some pain points. What an entrepreneurship that I really enjoy, and of course it was real estate. So I took the opportunity to get licensed in Georgia full time, and so that's what I did, and I've been doing full time real estate. I've been providing full time real estate services from that point on. So now I am not only investing, I'm also helping people buy property. So that's where I am at this current moment in 2019.
Okay. And so it's just coming full circle, man. It's like real estate. There are so many ways to get your feet wet in real estate. Vic, he's a realtor, so he's in sales, and he's an investor, and he does buy and holds. I buy and hold, and I'm focusing on property management. There's a number of different ways to jump into real estate. You have wholesaling, you have fix and flips, you have syndications. That's for big time real estate investors trying to get there too. Yeah, that's on the plan, real estate syndication. So be on the lookout for that soon. Any other strategies, Vic?
Like you talk. So you talk. I mean, a lot of people going back to that buy and hold, strategy, people get started. If people read up on how a lot of people get started, man, they take advantage of the FHA loan, the 3.5% down, and
Yeah.
that's how they get started, right?
Yeah, like house hacking.
House hacking, right?
You
Yeah,
can buy a 4-unit complex and live in one of them and still get that 3.5% down FHA loan.
yeah,
That
absolutely,
save you on a down payment. So
right.
it's
Yeah, so house hacking, I've done it. I'm a house hacker,
yeah,
and I'm getting ready to house hack again.
yeah.
So,
And with the house hacking, if you live in that space for 2 years and you sell it, you don't have to pay capital gains on it, right?
right, yeah,
Yes, that's it's so many things in ins and outs of real estate that can help the average person that most people don't know about. And that's another reason why we're starting this platform, is just to put the word out, get people educated, man. And I feel like it's warranted, man. People want to do better for themselves, but sometimes people don't know what to invest in. I know a lot of people who have a lot of ambition, but just don't know what to get into. So I tell all my friends, I'm like, at the minimum, you should at least have real estate in your portfolio. You can pursue whatever entrepreneurship avenue you want, but at the least have just have real estate in your portfolio. The reason why I say that is because um, real estate creates more millionaires than any other industry. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, that's what we're doing. So
yeah,
that's
man. I mean, that's how you get wealthy, and that's how you leave a legacy, and that's how you have money in retirement, and that's how you fund the lifestyle you want. You want
yeah,
to, let people talk about what they want to do. I mean, it's not going to be only working a 9 to 5. Um, that's a great stepping stone to getting started. If you do, I mean, you have a huge advantage if you
right,
have a decent 9 to 5 job. Um, I know I'm thankful for the ones, the miserable ones and the great ones, because that gave me the capital to get started.
yeah,
So very fortunate there, for sure. But I'm with Chris. I think providing this platform to help people understand, how they can get into real estate, learn about some different ways they can get started, and what resources are out there to help them get started, and to use us as a resource, as some people who've been doing it for over nine 9 years for me right now.
yeah.
Um, so we have a little bit of experience, and we have, some resources that can definitely help everyone out there who's like, hey, let's go out and get our first property.
Yeah. So yeah, be on the lookout. Some of the topics that we plan on covering. Let me pull them up real quick. So right now, this is episode 1 of a pilot 5-episode series. So we're going to be talking about startup capital, how to get it, how to find it, ways that you can raise capital. I think the common thing amongst us is the way we raised capital was by saving it. We manipulated our incomes and expenses to save more money than what we normally would, in hopes to raise that down payment. We're also going to do a live Skype session with our audience. So be on the lookout. We're going to send out the date that we plan on recording that episode to get live feedback from our viewers, just to seek engagement, get feedback, answer questions, take requests for future ideas and content. Another episode, we're going to talk about how do you evaluate deals, valuation methods. You see a property and somebody's charging a particular price. How do you know if that's a good deal or not? How do you find comparable metrics? And then that's a whole rabbit hole in itself. I could probably talk about valuation methods for 3 or 4 hours at least. And then finally, we're going to talk about resource tools. How do we educate ourselves? There's so many ways. There's no reason why you can't educate yourself with the internet right now. There's so much information on the internet. You have YouTube, you have books, you have podcasts, you have institutions. You can go to school for it too.
And I think going down this path of talking about resources, I think it'll help if a lot of people kind of know and it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, but kind of have some goals. And I think based off of what goals you want to have, will determine, which path you may want to get started with in real estate. So, yeah, I think that's a good point. You read up. There's a lot of free material out there on the internet. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I think we got episode 1 in the books.
Yep.
I feel real good about the podcast, how genuine it is. I know Vic. I know he's coming from a genuine place, and we're mostly focused on providing value. And when you provide value, it's undeniable. So that's pretty much it. One thing I would say is if you're serious about investing in real estate, man, just block off maybe like 15 to 20 minutes either in the morning or at night before you go to bed, just to research, go on the internet, go on YouTube, and just start like that, man. You'll be amazed to realize how much you can learn just from 30 minutes on YouTube and just looking at videos, so.
And how it can change your life. It's changed my life for sure.
Big time.
So
man. I'm all in. I got future plans. We got future content. So with that being said, we're going to end this podcast. And you got any last nickels, Vic?
No, that's it. I hope to see a lot of people, join us, spread the word about what we're trying to do. And I hope that we're able to help people get started and do some great things for you in your life.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, so we appreciate y'all. I don't know what platforms we're going to be posting to yet, but whatever platform you're on, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you leave a comment or like our material. So with that being said, we are signing off. Episode 1 in the books. We'll holler at y'all.
Peace.
Yep.